Morning, Deirdre.
Good morning, Tom. How are you today?
I would rather be in Rockport, Massachusetts, which is where this is. Unfortunately, as you know, I'm kind of bound to not travel yet, but or when I do travel, it's mostly very short trips. But you know, don't feel badly for me. You happen to know because I don't, you've never been to my place in Arizona, but you've been to Arizona. I am looking out at an incredibly beautiful scene. And I got a kick out of this because on the other side of the hill I'm looking at is it and we're talking about a major hill, is the Four Seasons Resort. And they had an advertisement, a national advertisement I saw the other day, and it said, "Come and enjoy the spectacular scenery of the Sonoran Desert." And they had a picture, and you could have been substituted what I'm looking at out of my window that spans this whole thing here. So I know you don't feel sorry for me. I know all the people we work with, because you all have been great about for the last couple of years coming out here to see me and work with me. And I thoroughly appreciate that. And I only have a few pieces of evidence. One is that I've lost so much weight, I now have things hanging, and that they still haven't finished with me. They're still taking stuff off my body, but hopefully that'll solve itself soon, and I'll be able to go back to the North Shore in the within this year. Let's put it that way, within this year. So now that I've killed 2 minutes of our time, I will get to the subject. The subject is the marketplace, competitive landscape, what I like to call the game. So, what is this concept of the marketplace, and why do you and I spend so much time on that subject? Um, to this point, we did an interview with one of our tech founders. Just recently, and you can find it on our YouTube channel. It is someone named Jake Kim, and he spends an hour going through the marketplace, the strategic gap he saw, the competitive landscape, the game that's going on, why it's that way, how he is entering that game, why he's able to play the game he's playing, how he's going to actually be able to create the value exchange that he needs to create, and he's actually been able to monetize it, which is the first difficulty is entering a game, and then the second is to be able to monetize that game. So you can create a value exchange, but usually the first thing you're doing is creating just an exchange of, you do something for somebody and then they give you information back, right, about how your product functions or what the design should be or whether it's functioning and giving real value back before you can convert it to monetization. He actually has converted it to monetization. So he's taken that step. So if you want to see an example of someone that can do this, that has founded a tech company, comes out of tech and is a CEO founder of a tech company, it's worth watching Jake Kim. Later on, he'll come back and he'll demo the product and take us through the actual product itself. But you can do this. So, Deirdre, I'm going to let you take it and give your perspective on this. Then I'll pull up a visual for us to be able to discuss.
Okay. Most of our students or the entrepreneurs we work with think in terms only of what they're doing, only in terms of the company that they're creating, only in terms of what they see as their direct customers. They forget that there's actually a canvas out there. And it's a canvas that's composed of competitors, different market factors, different groups of customers, a whole range of auxiliaries to a business. I shouldn't really call them auxiliaries. They're necessary to the business. People like suppliers, distributors, people who do marketing and advertising for you, and so forth. So outside of your business, even if you do some of these functions inside your business, you're operating surrounded by a lot of other entities. This is your competitive landscape. And each of these actors on the competitive landscape is pursuing their own interests. They are themselves trying to be as profitable, as large, and have as great an impact as they can in this landscape. So there you are, you're entering this landscape, and you need to know who they are and what they're doing so you can carve out your space immediately. And then this is where the concept of the game becomes important, Tom. Then you can start playing a game in relation to all of these other entities so you can gain market share and grow your own business. It is a game because I think once we get this far in our explanation and talking with students or entrepreneurs, you see their eyes light up. It's sort of like, wow, I can have fun with this. But there's even another aspect to it. And that is you can enter a marketplace. You can start operating in that marketplace. You may even start to get market share. But these entities are not sitting still. They themselves are going to react back. And this is where it really gets to be a chess game where you play and they play, and you play and they play. And there will be winners of sorts in this whole thing. That's why we call it a game, that you have to think in terms of your marketplace and how each of the entities is operating and achieving and what they will do when you enter the marketplace. Do you want to pull up the visual now?
Absolutely. That's great, great summary for us. So you should be able to see this now.
And there they are. Step two, you call it the prerequisites. That in step one, when we work with our students and entrepreneurs and business people, obviously we take them through creating a strategy, but then we start to prep them for playing the game. And that's a prerequisite. You've got to understand this before you actually get into the marketplace. Why don't you talk about this, Tom? Because you really love this stuff.
Yeah, I do. You're exactly right. So I know it seems strange when we call step two the prerequisites, but it really means it's the heart of what you're doing and the fact that you constantly have to keep an eye on this. So you're cycling through your vision and developing the strategy, summarizing the strategy and creating an operational outline. You're constantly doing that, but the prerequisites is where you focus. And you'll notice this looks eerily similar if you've had any exposure to our radar screen, the leader's radar screen, meaning their context, their scope of vision. This is, you see these elements in it, and this is just taking it one level below. But it's important to realize what's going on in the marketplace. So this is the prerequisites, meaning it is the thing you have to understand before all else. You have to understand there is a game going on in the marketplace, and anybody that's run for school board or entered a new neighborhood or entered a new town or village, or just, like I said, moved into a new neighborhood, there's a game going on. That game is going on. You're entering that game. It could be a social game. It could be a school board game or but if you want to play, you have to figure out, okay, what is that game? Who are the players? Who's leading the charge? What does that game look like? Can I fit in? How do I fit in? So this is the point of there's a game already underway, and it's your job to figure that out and figure out how do you play. So it's one thing to identify in that market what is the strategic gap that you see. What is the opportunity or the problem that's not being solved today in the way that you think you can solve it, that gives you a differentiation and a value that you can extract from that? And then how do you take that and enter the game? And this is the piece that Professor Silverstein or Deirdre points out. That is frequently missing in people's thinking. They stop when they get a product, and then they start to try to sell it. And they can't seem to understand why are they getting resistance in the marketplace. Well, usually it's because they haven't done enough work on the game, how to enter that game and how to win at that game. And people that have been in a market for a long time understand it thoroughly. And that's why really good salespeople, really good business development people, really good CEOs that have been there for a long time, they understand this intuitively. It's when you're an entrepreneur and you're creating something new, you have to learn this and you have to do this. And this is our point about the Jake Kim interview. If you want to see somebody that understands this and can explain it, Jake can do it and does it for us. That's why we call it a prerequisite. And then that is what leads you to be able to then go back and say, all right, what is that gap I see? So what is my vision for the future? What is the mission I'm going to use to get there, or at least take the next steps? What's my role in meeting that need? And then what approach am I going to use to the mission? That's your strategy. And then it's the actual developing the strategy. And we have steps that you go through, including Act 2, which is, okay, once you know your strategy is working, what do you do next? And you'll hear Jake Kim actually talk about that. Deirdre, he mentioned this at one point. He doesn't say Act 2, but he knows that's what it's called because that's what how it came to him. But this is not a plan B where the strategy is not working and what do you do when it's not working? It's working. What do you do next? That's why we call it an Act 2. And then it's summarizing that strategy into something meaningful so that you can communicate it to whomever you need to communicate it to. And then ultimately it's operationalizing that strategy. And these are the pieces that we think you have to do. And this is what we call a strategy discipline. We'll do a deep dive on this later, but we wanted to get at the heart of this, which is the marketplace, the game, the competitive landscape, how you see it. So Deirdre, I'm going to give you 3 minutes to summarize this. I usually only give you a minute or a minute and a half, maybe 2. You have 3.
Okay, well, that's good because I have a couple of points to make here. One, it's important to understand how very dynamic this is, that a lot of people enter their marketplace and think they're set, that they're in their marketplace, they're selling to these customers, and that's it, and they just do this in perpetuity. But no, the game is dynamic, and you need to constantly be aware of when you have to make a move. It may be that over the years, you're no longer selling to your initial customers, or you're no longer distributing it through these channels. And that's another important point to make here, is that the whole business system is so dynamic right now that you yourself must remain dynamic. Some features of the modern business world are things like platforms or ecosystems. And you may start by joining this platform or becoming a member of this ecosystem. And then in 2 years, you may realize that this platform is no longer serving your needs. You have to move on, and you have to be prepared to move on, and you have to know what your possibilities for movement are. Similarly with ecosystems. It may be that the modes of distribution have changed, that what was once a tangible distribution is now all e-distribution, or that you've got new programs coming in taking over things, or that there are new geographic distribution systems or new warehouses or things like that. So what was your initial ecosystem may have to change, and you have to be able to move on a dime. As soon as you recognize that something is no longer working for you, you have to change the circumstances in your marketplace, or in our vocabulary, the game changes for you and you have to make another move. So what this is all about is about how you as a business operate outside in the marketplace, in your ecosystem, on your platforms, through all of the various functions of business, and especially vis-a-vis your competitors, to always work and get your products to the customers who are profitable to you. Have I captured everything here, Tom?
You did. You did. You did. I'm going to leave it at there.
Okay.
Thank you, Deirdre. As usual, it's great to see you. And I'll talk to you later.
Talk to you later. Okay. Bye.